Many have tried and failed to replace Sir Alex Ferguson. The failures of previous managers Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could provide a manual of what not to do for Erik Ten Hag. Let's speak to Jonathan Northcross, the Sunday Times football correspondent, who wrote a piece this Sunday about the failings of Manchester United that led to this. Jonathan, a very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us.
Evening, Sam.
Thanks very much. Great. Thanks very much for coming on the programme. We appreciate it. Why did two managers dripping with trophies, charisma, presence, ideas, authority, Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, not work at Manchester United?
Oh my goodness! I mean, that's the £1 billion question, as in the £1 billion that the Glazers have taken out of the club since they took over. I think it comes back to a lack of vision at the top, which has led to a lack of support for managers. It's odd. Jose Mourinho just from the start didn't seem to fit the template of a Manchester United manager, despite Ed Woodward and the Glazers trying to identify what a manager should look like, and it was always an unhappy marriage. And I think he did the Jose Mourinho thing, but ended up getting a lack of support over signings and transfers, and quickly got disillusioned with what he saw as being, a penny pinching culture alien to him. And Louis van Gaal was the same. Van Gaal is a very methodical, process-driven manager. He wanted to bring about very sort of slow and detailed change. And again, the club lost patience with him. So I think that's the story, and it's a bit like the players United have signed. They sign people with good CVs, with talent, but not necessarily people that have fitted with the football club. And then you've got people at the top who don't know what they're after. And, in the case of those managers, have been left with people they possibly didn't need to appoint in the first place.
I'll ask Mark to have a view on this in just a second as well. But was Jose Mourinho, in hindsight, a relative success for Manchester United? Because in his first season in charge of the club, they won the Community Shield, they won the League Cup, they won the Europa League. The Red Devils also finished second behind Manchester City in 2017-18. They got to the Cup final that year as well. And I wonder whether or not you believe that moody demeanour towards the end was a little bit of a symptom of working in a situation where he knew no matter what he did, he wasn't going to be able to close that gap.
Yeah, I think you're right, Sam. He did the 2-year cycle. Jose's cycles are like that. And you have to say the first year, as good as anybody has done. He recruited pretty well. He won those 2 trophies, but he knew he was a long way behind Manchester City. And I think he also knew that the style of football he had didn't really fit with Manchester United fans. And that was a tension. But, in the piece I did, when we tried to detail some of the frustrations that all the managers had, he had things like, when he wanted to use the gym out of hours, he was told he couldn't do so because of health and safety. He wanted a new desk, and he was told that this had to go past Joe Glazer's office to approve it. Now, some people would accept that. Jose Mourinho is not going to accept that. He saw this as being, this isn't what I'm used to. This isn't the kind of culture or club I want to work at. And that was, I think, another reason that got to him. And then there's the transfers. He didn't get the players he wanted either. He missed out on John Stones and a number of signings he wanted. And when Jose's not happy, he shows it.
Mark, being a supporter and hearing information like that, I mean, how on earth was Jose Mourinho ever going to be able to be a success at Manchester United? He wanted a new striker, but he couldn't even get a new desk past Joel Glazer.
You know what? I think when Mourinho was sacked, I agreed with it, but I also agree with what you've just said there, that time's been really kind on Mourinho. What he achieved, he's the best manager we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson. I always forget about the lost cup final, but Europa League, Carabao Cup, second in the league. And I think Mourinho was the first one, apart from Van Gaal, who said afterwards we were a commercial club, who really, a bit like Ranić, sort of hinted of the problems whilst in post. Martial was a player he wanted to remove from the club. He wasn't allowed to do that. Perisic has just gone to Spurs. We wanted Perisic, and United wouldn't go that little bit extra. I think if you're going to put a manager in charge, and this is going to be relevant to Ten Hag as well, if you are not going to back managers like that, you are effectively putting an arm behind their back. So how can they ever come out of that situation having given it an honest try when they're being restricted by the owners? And this has been happening consistently with signings for the last 9 years, where you suspect that some of these signings are actually for the commercial part of the club, in the sense that they're a shirt seller. I mean, I love Ronaldo, but you could even say Ronaldo last year, that should have been spent on a midfielder. We've just been through a season where virtually every team has dominated us in the midfield. So I think Mourinho's at reign, I look back on it actually as probably one of the positives, even though at the time I was glad to see him go. But that was also about player power. That was player power behind his back.
It was Pogba,
and
wasn't
the
it?
board listening to players. Yeah.
Jonathan, if I can ask you about, I mean, you talked about Jose Mourinho not being able to bring in certain players to the club. He actually brought in players that were unsuccessful. If you look defensively, it was a big problem. The players that he brought in, he thought he was going to get better out of. And you talk about it being a successful period. I think in Manchester United, you have to have a style of football that is entertaining. For me, it wasn't entertaining. I used to go there
Were
regularly.
you shocked by that? Let's be honest about it. I mean, you've watched football for long enough to know Jose Mourinho's not going to give you flying wingers, play 4-3-3 in total football.
So then why give Jose the job in the first place? That's the big problem. But recruitment, you're talking about players that he was able to bring into the club and saying that he wanted more players. He was able to still bring in players that he wanted at Manchester United, but the players that he brought in did not work. And the style of football that they played.
Eric
Bailly. Yeah, defensively, it wasn't there. It wasn't good enough. He was having to coach at the time Luke Shaw through football matches. You can't do that at a club like Manchester United. It was a big problem for them. Yes, he was successful in the trophies that he won, but the style of football was never there at Manchester United. And I think that's where the supporters kind of fell out of love with Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, that's, you know, earlier I was saying that he didn't fit from the start, and they appointed him knowing that. You know, they identified sort of 4 things they wanted from a manager. Now, one of them was winning trophies, which clearly Jose brought, but you know, one of them was playing exciting, attractive football, and they knew that that's not what Jose does. But they were so desperate to win by that point that they thought, you know what, we just need to go and win something. But he did win. And then they found out that actually that doesn't still fit with Manchester United because we've got to win a certain way. So I do agree with that. But from Jose's point of view, you know, we've just seen him triumph for Roma, playing in a way Manchester United can't play. But in his mind, he wins trophies. That's what he does. And you're right about recruitment as well, in the sense that it was hit and miss with Jose. Some of them, Zlatan was a great signing. Alexis Sanchez, very much less so. But, you know, the biggest problem I think United have had has been recruitment, whether it's been recruitment of managers, you know, missing out on Klopp, missing out on Guardiola, probably appointing people who were the wrong fit, and then players. And it's the recruitment has often depended on managers. And that was what Jose was trying to do. But we live in an era where the best clubs are taking the opinion of managers, but they're also taking the opinion of sporting directors and serious data people and all that kind of stuff. Now, United have told us that they do all that, but in reality, they're miles behind a Liverpool or a Manchester City in terms of how they build squads, and we're still seeing that. I guess they're going to try again. You know, they've appointed Andy Boyle today, and I think the messages coming out from the club are that we're making a fresh start. Everything's going to be different, including recruitment. So let's see what Ten Hag gets, but it'll have to be better supported than the previous managers.
Yeah, Nadal is the new deputy director of football, football director who has signed from the Premier League, who was head of elite performance at the Premier League prior to his appointment as Manchester United's latest acquisition to that football team. You're right about that. They might well be telling us that they're doing all the right things, but the evidence of our eyes suggests that the recruitment hasn't been at the sort of level that even the clubs in and around the Manchester United zone at the moment, 6th, 7th, 8th, are doing. Mark, you wanted to speak up for Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, I just think with 9 years on, obviously with no trophy in 5 years, it's easy to look back and say the football was bad. But remember, Mourinho took the job off Van Gaal, who just won the FA Cup. And I remember distinctly when we took Mourinho, a lot of fans were like me, that you looked at Mourinho's record, who wins a title at that time everywhere he's been in his first 2 years. And we went into it eyes open, knowing that the football wasn't going to be good. But at that point, we hadn't won a title for maybe 5 years. And we were like, we don't want to become Arsenal. Let's get Jose in. He'll steady the ship. He'll win us a title. He'll disappear in a couple of years, and then we reset. But that didn't work. And obviously, Jose, he said himself, didn't he, that I've come into this club. There's nobody to do interviews except me. There's nobody above me. I'm it. I look above me, and that's basically where the football knowledge stops. So yeah, I think history has been kinder on Mourinho, because he did sort of expose a lot of the problems that came after with Solskjaer and Rangnick.
It's amazing, isn't it, when you look at other clubs that sort of who are deemed Manchester United's equal, someone like Bayern Munich, and they're dripping with experience, football experience, talent, people who have been around the game for 20, 30, 40 years. They'll sit there, they'll do interviews, they'll take some of the heat off the manager who can concentrate on the coaching. And one of the big burdens on Manchester United managers in the post-Ferguson era is the fact that they've become the public face of the football club and have been expected to carry the weight of not just the football team, but the entire club itself. And that's something I think that Erik Ten Hag has got to be allowed not to do, or be encouraged not to do. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for joining us. We appreciate it. Really good piece. If you get the opportunity to check it out from the Sunday Times this week, a great piece on the failings of Manchester United that led to where we are right now. Jonathan, thank you very much for that. Let's get to a caller, Dean, who's on the line, who's joined us on talkSPORT, a special kick-off programme tonight focusing on the past, present and the future of Manchester United. Dean, hello. Thank you for calling 03717 223344. What do you got to say?
Good evening, guys. Thank you for letting me come on. Yeah, I would just picked up my lad from football, and I just heard something like going on about the whole Moyes situation. And my quick take on it is, did I want Moyes as a manager at the time? No. And obviously he got lauded by Sir Alex Ferguson, but was he worth a punt? Yes. Even though it kind of gone a little bit stale at Moyes, and it was always just a little bit like what's been happening with Sean Dyche. Like, it's got a bit stale, should they need a new challenge, etc. And then obviously, lo and behold, what happened, we know what happened at Sean Dyche's season. But when he came, he just did it all wrong. So in hindsight, he probably would have done it better. Has he done a good job at West Ham? Fantastic, and I really want him to do well there. But when he came with all his backroom staff and got rid of all the other staff and didn't let anybody integrate, and Simon Jordan touched upon it earlier today when talking about Emma Hayes managing the men's team, and it's all about levels. If you've never managed at that level, why get rid of experienced people who have got experience and relationship with those players who, let's be honest, actually were very fortunate to win the league that was the last season for Sir Alex Ferguson, and obviously we lost it by goal difference the year before. And we're on the way out a little bit. Why not? But why not, though, while you're getting in there, getting integrated, why not keep them on and learn the roots, learn how that club was ran with Sir Alex Ferguson, with people who knew best, like Mike Phelan back then, and slowly then, once you've got that experience, and then bring in other people who Manchester United really needed, and then you decide to say, right, this is my team now, I'm going to then, begin to let people go. And he didn't do that. He brought all his team in from, all his staff, backup staff in from the beginning, and it just capitulated. It may not have been supported with the players that we got, but we always seem to buy these players, and we talk about people with characters. It's never worked out. I do think some of them will actually, should come up good. I hope they come up good for Erik Ten Hag, because if they don't, then we need 9 new players.
Dean, I'll tell you what, it's interesting you say that, because that's what we're going to talk about next. Those players, what they can and should achieve in the future.